here at eventeny. I actually come from the events world. So here in Georgia, I worked at the city of Roswell, and I oversaw permanent events. So events held by nonprofits in the city, road races, festivals, and then helped manage a music series and then a open streets festival that had over 100 vendors. So I understand the event world and can empathize with all of the challenges, and I'm excited to help users use the platform.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. I just made you the co-host of the meeting machine in case you want to share your screen or whatever you want to do. So that's all set up for you. We'll wait a couple minutes. Just people are still coming in, I see, which is great. This call is being recorded for those who can't be here in live, which I think is a good thing too. So while we're waiting, do you want to introduce yourself, Nasheen, so people know who you are? And let me tell you a little bit about eventeny as a company.
Absolutely. So hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all virtually. My name is Nosheen. I'm actually one of the early team members of eventeny. I know that, John, I think we're mostly focusing on the virtual aspects of this call, right? Like virtual event related?
Yes.
Perfect.
And these are, most people here are exhibitors for the show who are going to have booths as part of the virtual or hybrid show.
Awesome. Perfect. So just to give you a little bit of a background about us as a company, we actually built the entire virtual platform last year during COVID timeframe. And that was mostly because we had art shows that were hosting right during times when events were being canceled. And during that time, a lot of artists reached out to us and said, hey, events are being canceled and we're unable to generate any form of revenue. What can you do as a company to be able to still continue having events during such a pandemic or during such difficult times? So that's when we launched this option that allowed event organizers to be able to say, hey, events might be getting canceled, but we can host virtual events online. And that included, so what we started building out during that time included the options to have a virtual schedule where you could say, we want to live stream certain content. We want to be able to do virtual parades. We want to be able to highlight some of our artists and some of our vendors. They could do all these different activities, whatever format they're using. They could connect it with our live streaming tool, recorded videos, Zoom, Twitch, all that good stuff. And as attendees were watching those videos, they gave them an opportunity for artists and vendors to be able to showcase their items and sell their items as they would during an event. They would bring a limited amount, and say, hey, this is our shop. Come check it out. Come purchase from it. What we did was, because our first event, we learned from our experiences and started to talk to a lot of the buyers, like the purchasers, and asked them what would make it easier. And we found out that if they could buy it under one transaction, ideally they would be spending more. So what we did is we created a way on our back end to be able to allow buyers to say, I can purchase from 10, 20, 30 different artists and vendors in one shot and have it under one transaction, with the event organizers also knowing, how much is being processed, how much is happening behind the scenes. A lot of event organizers started doing little things like scavenger hunts within shops. So they were hiding different things, which was fascinating because if you're like, I'm going to give an example of a specific event that I really liked and how they did it. It's a medieval style event. And, oh, sorry, was that a question?
No, please go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I was just double checking because I want to make sure I don't interrupt anyone. It was a medieval style event, and they had a king, and the king's red sash had gone missing. And the king's red sash was hidden in one of the shops. So that encouraged buyers to make more purchases because they were actually trying to find the red sash that was hidden within these shops. And each shop had either, well, if they had the red sash, great, but if they didn't have the red sash, they had a clue, so it was a product that was almost as if it was a clue that guided them to the next shop that could have the red sash. So I thought that was definitely fascinating. Other things that other people have done is that they set up raffles. They did different things where they would say, we might not, especially for vendors that are not really vendors, they're exhibitors, you know, they might be selling services. What they did is they set up their Zoom calls and they set up raffle tickets. And they said, if you purchase this ticket at a $0 rate, you know, you would be entered in for a chance to win, but you must Zoom with me from this time to this time, which was nice because that allowed them to be able to showcase their services. And they also, like, one of them, I think, auctioned off or raffled off a Harley Davidson, you know, which was really nice. Yeah, that was a pretty big deal, you know? So things like that can also be done too. I know I shared a lot. I'm going to kind of walk through the platform as well, so you have some idea as to how you can set up your shop as well. But any early questions for me or anything else that you kind of want me to like make sure and double click on just so I'm not missing anything?
I really like the interactivity between the attendees and the exhibitors with some of the features you have with Connect with Me and those sort of things. Make sure we definitely talk about those. Would be really helpful. And I think
yes,
the shared shopping cart was also a good feature. When we get to that, you can talk about that a little bit more too.
Absolutely. I'll talk about all of that. I think the number one thing I'm going to try to focus on is just creating the shop itself. It is pretty straightforward, you know, but we do have tutorial videos, we have guidance, we have our own support team that's always here to help in any way that we can. What I normally like to say is when you're thinking about creating your shop, what we've seen statistically, and I can share some numbers and just an article that we published some time ago that could provide some assistance for you as you set up the shop, is that generally, if you have 30 plus products in your shop, that's a good number, you know, because you're giving some variety for your for the buyers that are looking for stuff. If you add a video to your page, you know, like if you add a YouTube video that showcases how you make your work, kind of your background and inspirational story about who you are, almost like something inviting, you know, inviting the buyers. Because remember, virtual will never, and as much as I like to say that, like, I would hope that it would be that good, you know, virtual will never, ever be able to replace an on-site experience. It just won't. But you can make it work hard enough to say, hey, I want to make it feel a little bit less virtually, you know, because when you're at an on-site event, you're using all your senses. You can smell, you can taste, you can see, you can interact, you're doing all of this networking. Most of those things are non-existent behind a virtual environment. So you have to try extra hard to make your shops creative. I think one of the shops that I really liked, and this is just personal opinion. Yes, there is going to be a screen sharing. I think I saw a comment on that. Definitely will be screen sharing option as well. And yeah, not missing anything as of yet. I haven't started that part yet. I was just giving some best practices early on, and then I'll hop right into the screen sharing piece of it, I promise. Now, just getting back into this. So one of my most favorite vendor shops was that they actually created their booth space in their backyard, and they set up the entire booth, including adding all of their products and everything, you know, just like everything was added within their backyard piece. And what they said was this like husband and wife team that opened the door of their house and they said, come on in, we're going to take you to our booth space, and then walked with the video, you know, all the way through their backyard and highlighted all of the different products. Different ways to do things differently. I love that. I love when people post up pictures, they add a lot of content, because remember, SEO is also key. And SEO is essentially, what that means is you want people to find things on Google. You know, if someone's searching for your page, you want it to pop up instantly. Another thing is also there are search bars within the event page as well. So if someone's searching for a specific item, and the more keywords you have, the more likely your shop page will show up when someone's searching for that. So instead of putting, you know, purses, this is just an example, you know, like you could ignore the example altogether, but just as an idea, if you have purses and your purses are Doctor Who themed, don't just type in purses, type in, you know, like add extra keywords that would say Doctor Who, purses, handbags, crossbody bags, things like that. So you have more variety in that option as well. If you can, add a video to your products, you know, especially if you have pottery and things like that, where you may have to rotate the items and showcase that. Definitely think about that as well. I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to start screen sharing. John, am I missing anything to talk about in the beginning?
Good.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm going to turn that on silent, because I swear to you, I did think that I was on silent and it was definitely not.
I'll do the same with mine as well.
I don't know what's going on with this phone, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. John, if you can just let me know if you can see my screen, it should be on the homepage of Eventeny.
Yes.
Perfect. The very first thing I'm going to do is just walk through an event, like a virtual event, just as an example. This is one of my more favorite events because it kind of does a little bit of everything. It ended now. I'm happy to share links of events that are active and virtual events that are happening. But this gives you an idea as to what things look like when a virtual event is being built, like how it would look like to the front end buyers. When you look here, you can see like navigational bars on the top part. I can hop to the marketplace. I can see what their schedules and their different activities are. For John, depending on how you're setting up this event, you can add multiple calendars. You can kind of set it up the way you want to, entirely up to you. Now, when someone watches a video, like let's say you've added a video to this, and this is one of the videos, right below that, you can see all of their artist shops. So differing style of event, but similar process, similar structure that you would probably follow as well. Standard placement of like video files, and maybe you might have a parade. I liked DragonCon's personally because DragonCon did a whole virtual parade all online, where it was all pre-recorded actually. And they asked attendees to submit mini clips, like 10 to 15 seconds of them crossing the road. And they combined all of that into one video file and they presented it, which resulted in a lot of people actually watching it as well, and also encouraging them to shop at the same time. So you can see all of the shops available. The further I scroll down, what I was talking about earlier, there is a search option. Depending on how the event organizers set up categories, people can also search by categories, like what your specific categories are. In this case, there's only one category, but you can also do subcategories. That also is an option too. I think Comic-Con did that, and I can show how they kind of set that up if I can find their exhibitor page, exhibit hall. So you see how this one had one category, but this one has two categories. So I can go under Artist Alley, and then I can do Illustrator. Depending on how they kind of structure that, that's up to the event organizers plus the vendors and artists as well. If I, let's say I am an event organizer and I'm just like, let's click into a shop, right? Just to see, or an attendee, and I just want to see what a shop page looks like. Now this is one shop page. See how I was talking about you can add a video file? They, I think, added 5 YouTube videos. And you can see how they're making their product as well, which is nice, because they're actually showcasing that as well. They added a picture of themselves, which is important because most of the time, especially when you're artists, I think someone said, yes, there is some screen sharing. So if you are missing the screen sharing, please message on chat and I can reshare it as well. Now, so just kind of going back to this, I love when people add pictures of themselves, a picture of their boot space, and a picture of their products, because attendees, especially when they're making purchases, and especially if your products are high dollar value, you may want to think about that they want to know who you are as well. So add a little bit about yourself. You can, this is optional, is add a Zoom option as well. So if you do want your attendees to Zoom with you, you may want to think about that and see how this person says, we look forward to chatting with you. We're available from 9 a.m. You can also text us to arrange a Zoom call. They might have their Zoom call available, but they're still setting up office hours. So you can say, I'm available from this time to this time, or you could text me for more information. You could do things like that as well. Again, that option is entirely up to you. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, like if you don't feel comfortable. But some folks might be like, yeah, this sounds like fun. I may want to do that. That can be done too. And then right below that, you can see their entire shop, their products as well. There's another, just a comparable artist shop example. So you see this one versus this one. And the other one that you were just looking at was Pottery Boys. They had how they're making, their very first video is how they're making their artwork. In his video, he's talking about his artwork. So a different way to kind of think this through, right? So you can have differing points of views. I kind of like this one as a starter because it actually brings in the personality in who you are as well. And then also a boot shot, some product pictures as well. And also has a video call, has some information as well. So you can see how much content they've added as well.
And Nasheen, you might want to mention the social media links. I saw you had the follow buttons up there too.
Good question. So if you have follow, like you can definitely share your page as a side note. So if you're sharing on social media and you click on that share button, you can share your shop pages as well. So you can say, hey, I'm going to share it on Facebook. I'm going to share it on Twitter, wherever you like. The follow button is where, like, let's say an attendee likes your products, likes who you are, and just wants to follow you. You will receive a notification when someone follows you. That way you can message them back and say, hi, I see that you follow them. If you want to collect, like talk to them, have a chat, maybe even use their email address to add to your own mailing list, right? Things like that, to just have some continuing conversations with them. That just makes it a little bit easier when people are following you. So you're building your base, right? You're having an environment where you can interact with people. Maybe they might not make a purchase instantly, but they want to stay engaged, right? They want to be a part of your network. That's kind of where that follow button comes in. John, did that answer that question?
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank
And
you.
it's fun fact on this is I think we decided to launch the follow button mid DragonCon. So it was actually interesting because I think we launched it at like 3 a.m. and by the morning we had over 170 people following other people, and it was instant. So that means throughout the night at Eastern Standard Time. So interesting to see that. And now it's being utilized at every point, but it was initially launched for DragonCon to just see how people would react to it. And a lot of our vendors and artists were quite happy about that too.
You have a message button as well?
Yes, you can message them too. Messaging is essentially you're just messaging them and having a conversation with them. Maybe they might have questions about your products. Maybe they might have questions about who you are. They can message you and you can start that conversation as well. For legality reasons, we say that if they're going to message you, they do have to have an account, like they do have to create an account. That's only because of GDPR laws. We want to make sure that if they are messaging someone, we still are following by standard laws in place as well. But they can message you, they can follow you, they can also video call with you. I don't want a video call with this person because I'm afraid if I click on that, I might actually end up on their Zoom because I think they're also part of other events that are active. So I'm going to pause on that. But I'll tell you that it looks essentially like this. So if I click on this, you see how this pop-up box kicks in? It's exactly that, but with Zoom. It's just a pop-up box that it's a Zoom link and I don't think any of these are Zoom, but I think you get the general gist that it would be a Zoom window that pops up. And I think there's a question. I'm just going to double check. I assume they would need an account to shop as well, not to peruse through. So they do not need to, if you're on the call, they do not need to for perusing the shops, but to make a transaction, to make a purchase, then yes, then they would need to create an account. And the process is quite simple. It's almost a part of the shopping process. So it doesn't look like they're actively creating an account. It's just like, if you want to come back to your page, add a password to it, add an email address. Those are really the two things we would need to make sure that we're not only engaging with them to make sure that their products are on time, things are being received on time, or if they want to message and communicate with you as well. Kurt, did that answer your question? Awesome, perfect. If other questions come along, definitely message it on chat. If I miss it, I promise I'll get to it. I'll try my very best. But as you can see, so this is all of his products, right? But if I click on a product, let's just say I picked on this one, right? This is something that they've added, but they also added a video per product, which is also nice. They kind of set this up as well. Right below that, they added some description. You could add more. There's really no limit on the number, no character limit or no word limit on that. So they can add some information. They added some item details, and then you can see that they're setting it up so it's being calculated based on shipping as well. They added their return and refund policy and a little bit about them as well, and then more products. When someone adds something to their cart, you can see this little red thing that pops up that says one person has added this to their cart, which makes it a little bit more competitive as well. It actually happened to me because I liked one painting and I was trying to make a purchase to it. And I noticed as I was making a purchase to it, somebody else had added in their cart and I was trying to buy it quickly. But I missed my opportunity because that other person, whoever it was lucky enough to get the artwork before me. So I had to go on a wait list for another artwork there. But something to think about. It does increase competitiveness. It does make people purchase faster when that little flag pops up too. And then they also receive, I know that this is going to be a question, so I'm just going to give this one in advance. If someone adds something to their cart, they will also, that person will receive a notification as a reminder, saying, hey, you left this in your cart, come back to it, up until they remove it. They will keep receiving notifications on removing that item from their cart. So people do end up usually coming back to it. They might have just forgotten about it. Questions on how a shop page looks like, and then I'll walk through how to create a shop. Awesome. Cool. John, did I miss anything that you would, oh, I think I hear something.
Somebody's head, it sounds like.
Just sound.
I was going to ask you a question. You mentioned about getting reminder notices for a shopping cart where someone's put an item in, but they haven't completed the transaction yet. They get reminders. If that gets bought by somebody else, does that thing come out of their cart, or does it say in their cart? It does.
Yeah, it'll like instantly, and then it'll also flag them that they can't purchase that product too. Because that's exactly, like, I remember that pain point when I felt that, because I was purchasing it at that moment in time, and it was like, no more, this item is no longer available, and I was like, no. So yeah, it will prompt them too.
Okay, great, thank you. And the other thing I think is a good point, you mentioned that the one artist actually was doing multiple shows, so that they create one account, they can then be in different shows based on other opportunities, right?
Absolutely. And let me show you one of the ones that I really like, only because I like the way that she kind of structured her entire shop page, but she tends like a lot of different events. So at her own home. So like this is the shop page. If I scroll down, see how many events this shop owner participates in. Like you can even see there's view 10 more. So you can participate in events as many as you like. You can say, I'm going to participate in 10. I'm going to just do one. Maybe I'm going to do one this time and one next time. You still have one shop. That shop gets connected to multiple events. So it makes your life a little bit easier because you're not having to worry about maintaining multiple shops. You're just maintaining that one shop, and you can update as needed.
And that was one feature we liked about this for Gamma, because we plan to do multiple events online. This way, our publishers only have to create one account and one shop. They can just update that shop, have to do this process over and over again for each individual show.
Correct, exactly. And they can do this. And even as an event organizer, because we've seen this happening with a lot of events, is that they will host multiple events. Like, let's say this one event has been going on for decades. This COVID year, they realized that the event's not going to happen, but they hosted it virtually. And then after that, we started seeing a trend where those types of events that happen once a year, every year, now are doing mini pocket events, and kind of doing it during holiday seasons. So they'll say December timeframe, because people buy gifts during December, for different holidays. So what they say is like, hey, we're going to open up shopping, our shops, a mini version of our shop or a special edition during November, so people can make their purchases and stuff, or during Thanksgiving time, like a month before, so people can make their purchases related to a specific holiday, So that comes in handy too, because remember, you're not paying really for a venue space, right? So you don't have to rely on weather conditions or all these other external factors. You can create mini pocket events. You can do different things. It's really how you promote the event at the end of the day. And the more fan following that you kind of build, the first one is always, I personally like to say, it's always a little harder. But when you start doing the next one and the next one, and then it just starts to become like a series, right? And you're like, okay, my next one, I have a bigger audience and I also have this audience. As a side note for John, the event organizers in general will also receive shopper data. So if you know that people are purchasing during your event, you can message them and say, hey, we have another event that's coming up in the next couple of months. So you only build your base with time, right? And that helps you out as well. That also helps out the vendors, the artists, anyone else that might be using the platform.
Excellent. Thank you.
I don't know if I went answer that question or if I just went off my own little tangent there, and I apologize.
That's cool. I love the enthusiasm. That's great.
There's a level of enthusiasm there, you know. It was just exciting to see that because a lot of folks said thank you when we could not have an event, and we've been going on for 57 years. We were still able to have our next event, you know, even though it was canceled in person. This gave us a new opportunity. So yeah, different ways to do things. And then as on-site events started to start back up again, the interesting thing was that a lot of people started to go hybrid as well. So they will say, hey, although we're having an in-person event, we're also doing virtual as well. So they're kind of doing it in tandem with each other, you know, which is
That's
also
what we're doing for Origins this year.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah. So you're working with it in conjunction with your on-site event, which is nice because you can do that, right? That gives you that opportunity. And as a fun fact, we also have a mobile app that will allow people to, like, if you have attendees during the event as well, and if you want them to look at it pre the event, they can take a look at all of your shops. All of that can be done, you know, so that's also nice too. Now kind of going back into this, so you see how like the event in itself and this one's a little bit different, but they also have sponsor logos on top. And I want to pick on this one is because I know I walked you through people that are selling products, but I do want to walk you through other types of vendors and exhibitors. Like in this case, this is a real estate group, you know, they're obviously not going to sell condos on our platform. There's a whole world of legality things that we would have to worry about. I don't want to be selling condos on our platform, but they can make it viewable. You know, they can make it as almost like a way to showcase their stuff. And when the event was live, this person also had a Zoom link that was active, and they also had a running raffle. They closed it all down now because the event has ended, so they don't want to do all of that to monitor that as well. But you can see how they kind of listed out their condos, and I wish I had the kind of money to be living here, but that would be really nice. But you can see how they kind of set that up as well. They added a description, and then at that time, they also had a Zoom link as well. So different ways to do different things. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump into how you kind of when you log in, how you start adding products and how you kind of start setting that up. I'm going to try to keep it kind of sort of simple because all of that information is available as you start to use it. But let's say you've applied for the event, and as you've applied, you start to say, okay, I've applied, I have been approved, I'm good to go, I need to start creating my shop. The very first thing you're going to see is you're going to be on Eventeny's homepage. You're going to go underneath your little avatar on the top right corner. So in my case, you see my picture. I'm going to go to account settings. And this is your home. You know, as a vendor, as an artist, this is where you will see all your information. You're going to see your personal information here. You can see your business profile here, your orders, processing, things that are being processed, payments and payouts if you've connected your Stripe accounts and stuff, applications that you've been working on and those statuses of those applications. You can see all of that as well. And notifications. Maybe you're getting some messages from people. You can see that too. But the very first thing I would do to create a shop is click on my business profile. The other thing I would also say is see where it says see my dashboard. If I click on that, when the event goes live, you want to probably, like, I have nothing going on here because nobody's looking at my shop page. But when you do, you will start to see different activity as well. So you can see like how much sales you're making in the past 30 days, you know, how much monthly sales or sales by event. You may be working with multiple events and you can kind of see how much you're selling per event. You can see the past 30 days visitors, right? Are you driving traffic on a specific day versus another day? You found out that the virtual parade was on Saturday, and that's when you hit the most visitors for your shop page, you know, or if there was a scavenger hunt that was happening on the Sunday morning and you realized, hey, on Sunday I had high traffic. I'm assuming it was because of the scavenger hunt that y'all did. So now you're almost figuring out your best practices through that process as well. As a side note, I usually do tell this to people because I do get some tickets around that as well, is the difference between a unique visitor versus a regular visitor. Unique visitor is essentially like, if I come to your shop page, I'm a unique visitor. If I visit that shop page twice, now I'm going to show up here twice. So this is just general visitors. I can show up 2 times here, but I'm going to show up once here. Questions so far before I kind of dive right into creating products and adding things? Awesome. It's pretty straightforward. Like, it's not too crazy, you know, but as you kind of go through it, you may have questions, you know, and when those questions come up, That's what we're here for, right? We're always here to help you out. Definitely message us, definitely let us know. But I'm going to click on business profile. This is where you're going to add all your general information. You know, you're going to add your name. You can perhaps add a Zoom link. You know, this is your video chat link. You can add a description to that video. Remember how I was showing you that little block that one artist had, which is like, I'm available from 7 to 7 during these dates. You can do stuff like that as well. Setting up your office hours. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, John. Oh, okay. I didn't miss a question, right?
No, you're
Awesome.
good. Go ahead.
I also say you can add an age restriction. This is not for everyone. This might be really for selected people. If you are selling, and if the state allows it, you know, depending on your state specific laws, if you can sell alcohol, you know, online, then you may have an age restriction. If you're selling products like CBD products and stuff like that, then you may have an age restriction, you know, or some people even say if they're selling artwork or like, I think there was one person that sells knives and they put an age restriction because they just don't want to deal with the hassle of people, you know, adding different things. So I got a couple of questions and I'm going to try to answer them one by one. Do you usually recommend setting up the business's website address as the eventeny page? Do you usually recommend setting up the business's website as the eventeny page? So you can, I don't know if and Samuel, maybe I need more information on that. But you can, like, this is how you can kind of set up your shop, but you can add your own website as well. You can add some information.
There's a setting where it's like unlock at home and unsafe Wi-Fi.
Thank you for that. You can add some information about your own and own as well. If the other question is, can Eventeny's website become your own website at that moment in time? Yes. One of the things that I guess I get most common questions about is, hey, I like how I created my shop page and I would like to use this as a permanent shop page because it's nice to have that. You know, it's just convenient to say, I built it for events. I also have it as my own running website. You can do stuff like that too. And as a side note, you can also edit this. So instead of it saying like CC something, you can say company, you know, at the end over here, your name, you know, or your shop name or something like that. So you can make edits like that too, which is also a plus. Now I know that there's some other questions. What costs are associated with having a shop? Is there a percentage fee, credit card processing fee? Awesome question. Awesome question. So, and then if I'm missing anything, or if y'all need some clarifications on the answers, definitely let me know. Because I think I kind of sort of answered Samuel's question, but not entirely. So definitely let me know if I'm missing anything. Now, the most important thing to answer Jason's question here is on the very right side, you know, as you're adding all of this information, you're going to see all of these green tabs. All of these are video tutorials in general. Then you're going to see a section labeled virtual event resources. There's going to be a little button that's labeled selling on Eventeny. I think, John, did I share this link, all these links with you? I may have. And if not, I'm happy to share them with you if you'd like.
And we're going to be pushing that out to our exhibitors in our exhibitor packet. But it's good to know that they're on your profile page. You click on anytime you want once you log into your account here.
Correct. It's always available, but if you do want it, I'm happy to send them to you just in case, you know, so that you can pass them along because they do have some important information that you need. Now, to answer that specific question, there's a section that's dedicated on what's the transaction charge. Of course, there will be credit card processing fee, you know, because we use Stripe to process our payment. That's about 2.9% plus 30 cents. We also do cover 5% transaction fee on top of anything else, on anything that's sold as well. So knowing that, you know, I can share this with y'all as well. So you have this information. So you don't have to be like writing it down just to make sure you have that. But anytime something's sold, it helps us as well to maintain the platform, to maintain. So 7.9% plus 30 cents. Yeah, that's exactly how that would work. If the event organizer, sometimes depending on the events that you're applying for, may have added some costs along with that. Those costs are not associated with us. Our platform fees are the 5%.
And we did not add anything on for the show. So it's just the 7.9% plus 30 cents.
Awesome. I think like if you are applying for other events, it's always good to just double check, but yeah. Other questions on that piece? And I know that I was kind of going through some of the tutorial videos as well. Cool. Awesome. If I missed or if you needed some clarification on some questions, definitely let me know. Perfect. So on the very right side, you see where it says video tutorials? These are awesome tutorial videos, mostly because they pretty much set it up step by step. And I think the question came in, is there a sample of what the invoices for sales sent to stores look like? That's a good question. I don't think I have one in front of me right now, but I could probably send one to you. Like I could probably send one to John directly, and that way you can pass it along. The other thing is, this is my personal preference, pre the event, before the event even starts, set up a product that you have $1 for, like $1 product, and purchase that item as yourself, just that one little item, so you can see the entire process. And then also refund yourself, because when you refund, all fees also go back, right? So you're not losing that much, right? I would not say do anything less than $1 because there's a 30-cent swipe fee, in general. So I would say try to do $1, and then you can see how the process looks like from the beginning to the end. And I think there's some questions on, can we point buyers to an Amazon page since we use them for our fulfillment center, or to any outside store, not just Amazon? This is kind of how we make our money as well, especially when it comes to virtual events, through transactions. So generally we would say, it's within the event page. It also helps from people not being redirected to another page. So it would be done through our own shop page. Now the key here is we noticed early on that when people were being redirected, people were not purchasing from other shops, because once they're gone, they're gone. It's hard to kind of get them back on the event page. So the more that they're on the event page, the better. If you message people, and say, hey, after the event ends, continue staying in touch with me. I'm glad you made a purchase. That's totally fair. Isn't Gamma paying for this event platform? Remember that there are a lot of other feature sets on our platform, and I can go into all of this information in more, I'll kind of run through it, but we do have a pricing structure, and all of our pricing structures are for different event organizers to access different things. We have a volunteer management, we have mapping, we have sponsorships, we have a virtual marketplace, we have all of these different things. So if Gamma's paying, they're probably paying for all these other things in addition to the virtual marketplace as well.
Correct.
And to answer,
and I'll add that we are paying for the platform, but if you do wish to use this service to sell products to that, this is the fees that they charge for that. It's optional. You don't have to sell products that you can do promotional on there or do events or whatever. But if you choose to sell events through the online show, you'll go through their platform for this.
Correct. And to answer Eric's question, it's fair. It's up to your decision making. If you choose to use it, it's entirely up to you. If you don't want to, that's also available as well. The biggest thing is, so if we're not selling on the platform, we can't have, so the biggest thing is your information will be listed, but you would not have products on our platform to be selling. So in general, if I go to, let's see if I can pick on another one. I think the one I was just working on. So just say 0 products, which is fine too. You can also list it. I think the biggest thing is you don't necessarily need to have products if you're just kind of listing something. People that are selling product, it helps to keep people redirecting from different locations. And I think some of these questions might be more directed to John, and that's fair. But I'm just kind of giving my little point as well, just to help answer some questions too. Other questions on this piece? I'll definitely say if you add 20, 30 products, it does benefit just to be able to list out some things, to be able to also explore some things, and say, hey, I'm just kind of showcasing my items over here. That's fair. If you say, no, I'd rather not have it, it's an extra work for me, that's fair as well. That's entirely your decision making. This is what we provide, and this is kind of the value that we have with our platform as well. You can participate in other events. That works as well. Any other questions on that piece? Awesome. Perfect. John, am I missing anything on that?
I think we're good.
Cool. Perfect. So so choices, make those decisions wisely. It's entirely up to you. It's quite straightforward. Video tutorials. We didn't have this initially a while back because adding products was fairly easy, but we also work with people who are above the age of 80, and They might not be tech savvy. They might have more, they might need a little bit more hand holding. So it is in like baby steps, you know. So if you do watch these videos, you might be like, oh my goodness, like how to log into a browser, how to make sure you're kind of processing this through. It's quite simple, but it's intentionally done that way to make sure that we're covering a broad audience as well. And to make sure we're meeting folks' needs that have never set up a website before. You know, this might be very new. And I think, John, this is a question that's coming towards you, so I'll let you answer that if you want to take it.
Yes, we've actually been having monthly town hall meetings already about origins. And so I'm happy to do a meeting just for exhibitors as well. So yeah, we'll definitely get that set on the calendar here. Thanks, T.
Awesome, awesome. Perfect. Any other questions for me or for John so far? Cool, awesome. Okay, so the further you scroll down, so again, on the right side, you're gonna see all of the tutorial videos as well as some, if you rather not watch a video, there's step-by-step instructions. If you wanna read through our FAQ page, that's also available here as well. Some people ask for this because they wanted a QR code for the shop page, so they don't actually send out the shop pages every time. They're actually just kind of sharing the QR code directly. If they're adding it on their social media, you can do that as well. This QR code will take you directly to that shop page. The further you scroll down, cover pictures, general pictures, your videos, and your products. If you find it that, you know, after the event ends, you want to close your storefront and you just don't want people making purchases because it's more inventory to manage, you know, you can do that. So during that limited time, you can open up the store and then close the store and then reopen it and then close it again. That's up to you as well. You can kind of work around that too. If you're adding products, this is kind of how you add products. You can add products individually. You can say, I want to add one by one. You can see, I mean, I created all of these random categories, but these categories are up to you to create. You know, you can create them however you like that are more catered to your needs. So you add a title of the product. I think I'll just kind of walk through a product that I've added because it's already pre-filled. So you can see how I've added a product. I assigned it a category. Category makes it easier because let me walk into the shop page, the one that I was actually just on to show you an example. Like, let's say I was at this person's, right? Yeah, I was right here. I think they have category. Yeah, so you see how they've created all of these different categories. Now these categories are within your own shop page for you to be able to help your attendees kind of go through your products as well, just making it easily accessible, especially for folks like if they have theme-oriented stuff like Doctor Who, Star Wars, this, that, they can break it apart by those categories too, or people can search by it as well. Both options are there. Now, kind of going back to this, if it's available for sale, because sometimes you might not be selling the product, you might just be showcasing the items, just like how I told you about the real estate agency, they're not really selling it, they're just showcasing it. Quantity available, you may have limited quantity that you might be like, I really have an inventory to manage. I don't want to manage another inventory, but I'm going to do one unique item per piece and list out maybe 10 items for this event. I can do that, you know, like to list my top 10 things and just have a quantity available, one per piece. You know, once that quantity goes down, it will mark it off as sold out, and it'll also decrease the quantity for you as well. So it just makes your life easier. You can add price, you can add shipping, you can decide if you want fixed, free. You have a few options here. You can say calculate based on location as well. So someone says, so it will be okay to link to an external page in the content, correct? Linking to your own website for additional info. Links are supported in the exhibitors page through HTML format. So not to your websites, because that goes back into the original point that I mentioned. It starts redirecting, and we don't want people redirected outside of that. After the event ends, that's perfectly fine. But while attendees are on the virtual page, it just makes it easier to kind of keep them within the virtual event rather than off-siting them, because people have lost some. We've had some vendors that in the past when we used to do that, that said it's unfair when other people are going to the other people's sites that they're not coming back to mine. So it's just kind of keeping them centralized. Do these categories cross storefronts? For example, board games would return a list of publishers with board games listed as a category. Not if they're within your shop page, it's only within your shop page. If they're within the event page, then they would be within the event page, and then you'll see multiple different categories. So if I say I'm in Gasparilla here, I'm just gonna pick something. So bear with me, I'm gonna say canvas, and I'm gonna search for canvas. So all thing canvas shops associated with the word canvas have popped up now. You know, even if there's a category specifically dedicated to canvas, all canvas, anyone that has written the word canvas in it will now pop up. But if it's within your own shop page, it's not going to show up. It's just going to be within your own shop page, not across storefronts. Does that answer that question, Ellen? A set of suggested categories, that would be, John, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, so we're actually working on that as part of the exhibitor packet. So we have a notes that we're sending out for best practices around how to organize your store, that sort of things. And so our hope is to have that out in early August. So we're still working on that.
Awesome. Yeah, so you can create your categories the way you want to create it, whether it's in your event page for John, you know, or whether it's within the shop pages for the artists and the vendors and the exhibitors, you know, or even if you have sponsors, entirely up to you too. Now, shipping related stuff, you can set up your shipping if you choose to. You can even do, if you rather than pick it up in person, you can set that up as well. So you can say like certain, especially big items. Nosheen, can you click on one of those products on That Was Canvas? Just curious how it works when you dive into results. Oh, I think I lost that one, but let's do it again. Give it a second. Let's click on art. So in one of these products, she probably has mentioned canvas, but if I click on it, you can see this person also doesn't have a category option right here, because I'm pretty sure this one was like listed about 26 items. I could go through each one of these individually, but somewhere in them, someone has written canvas. So that kind of sort of, so it loses the specific results it was searched for within the shop page. Yeah, because it's right now narrowing down to say, okay, there's canvas in one of these like shops that have kind of set it up. If you're looking for it, what I would say is if y'all can work together, you know, and say these categories match with your shop pages, you can kind of do it in that way as well. Or you could even do like subcategories, you know, so that might be helpful. Artists to now canvases, so you're only pulling up canvas results. I usually I don't see that many people searching for just canvas. I usually see people looking up themes, you know, like flowers or fandom specific, like they'll type in an artist's name, or they'll type in a shop name, or they'll type in a like Star Wars, you know, or something like that, to see all of the things. I'm a personally, I'm a Doctor Who fan. So when I was going through all of the different fandom convention events, I would always look up Doctor Who and I would buy everything Doctor Who themed, you know, so that's kind of how I would structure it. But it can differ. And these are some feedback that we could probably even take back to our team to kind of cater the results as well. Great point, though. Anything else so far? Awesome. Perfect. Kind of going back with, and I forgot where I was. Here we go. Shipping related things. So you can set up the shipping that way you want it. There's free shipping, fixed shipping, calculated based on location, and sell for in person. Calculated based on location would mean that it would be based on the buyer's location. You don't have to pick that option. It would be up to you. And it would also be based on the carrier and the dimensions of the product. Like you can add package dimensions and everything. So you're calculating that product accurately. I would always say just double check it. So after you create your shop, test out a few zip codes, you know, to see how it's kind of calculating those shipping results. Shipping would be like to ship the product after you've set this up. That would be up to you. We have not done like package printing slips as of yet, because remember, we just built this last year. So even this is fairly new for us as well. But that is something we're thinking about adding. I think we're just trying to figure out how to work that into our system as well. But you can kind of like, after you receive the information, you will receive all of the costs associated with that. And then you can say, cool, here's all the information, it's being shipped out. You can add a tracking number if you choose to and communicate with the buyer accordingly. But you have options there. I think the ones that I see selling most tend to be free shipping. And because people just, and I think that's Amazon's entire game, you know, trying to make the shipping free, even if the product is $5 more or $10 more, they set it up that way. So usually when I'm seeing things get sold, it's with free shipping because people, yes, to answer Jason's question, if you're doing calculated based on location, it would also include if you're using, like, let's say USPS as an option, it's going to ask for package dimensions. And when it asks for package dimensions, you can include that. to be weight-based as well, and based on the buyer's location. So it's going to use a multitude of different things. And I can actually show you that. So if I did calculated, it's going to say weights, and it's going to ask for that information. Then you can say package dimensions. You can set that up as well. Product measurement as well as package measurements, because this will be used to, shipping will be underestimated if you do not include package measurements. Does that kind of sort of answer that question, Jason? Possibly, but if you need clarification, let me know. I'm always here to help in that way too. I remember that there was the system allowed for aggregated shopping across vendors. Very curious how that ends up working out for consumers with all these variable shipping options for vendors. So it adds together all in the cart. Great question. And I would even say, test it out, right? So, because I know I've used it to make purchases and stuff. So like, let's do this together. So if I go to this one, I'm just going to pick some random ones over here. Of course, this one has to be self or in person. Let's go ahead and get it anyway, just to kind of see this one. Let's add to cart. I'm going to add to cart. And now I'm going to go pick on another one. Let's pick the same one that we were just working with. Pottery Boys. They have plus shipping, so they're calculating. Now we're seeing different types, right? Let's save this. And now this is my checkout process. So you can see two different types. They're both being calculated differently. This one says shipping self-delivery, and this one's saying shipping not calculated. So the second I enter my zip code, let's say, give it a second because it's going to process, and then it's going to calculate that shipping for me automatically. So it's going to calculate shipping per block, per vendor option as well. Jason, does that kind of answer that question as well? It just kind of lumps it up in separate things too. Can we do fixed order, say $5 for, that's an awesome question. If I go back, now that I have too many tabs open, you do have an option to say fixed shipping. And then there's a section that you're going to see paired shipping. If you select paired shipping, that means that, like, let's say you have this one product. Actually, it comes in handy for a lot of folks that are, I think, let me actually pull one up if I can show you a direct example, because I've bought from this company a couple of times. So I know I love their products. Side note, I'm not going to, like, you know, I'm not selling them here or anything, but I love their products. Buy from them if you like honey and stuff too. Either way, they set it up on a flat rate shipping. If I purchase this product plus this product, and my shipping rate is $5, I'm still going to be charged $5, even if I picked up 5 items or 1 item. So you can do paired shipping across the board as well, depending on the cost that you're looking at. If that answers that question, kind of, sort of. For weight-based is added together per vendor then for calculating. For weight-based is added together per vendor then for calculating. Okay, it will be weighted based on your total. So if someone's purchasing, like, let's say 3 items from you, it's going to tally up that weight for that vendor. Then for the next vendor, it's going to tally up that weight for that total, but it is still separating the 2 out. So if you're picking one from this one, and this one, it's not going to tally all 3 up together to charge them specifically, because each of them will have different carriers or different costs, different things. So it's not like what PSI did for that. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a combined. They worked multiple publishers together to create one shipping package from this vendor. This is actually getting packaged. Every individual vendor will get a package from to that person. That's how this system's set up. So yeah. It's
yes, you're right. Yeah, it's not like consolidating all the vendors, because then that would be a huge problem, and then we'd get a lot of backlash. And then people would be like, I have to now pay $2 for shipping when, you know, Susie Smith just got like $10 for that piece of the shipping. So to divvy that up correctly, we always just, it's almost like a shopping cart per vendor thing, but combining that total into one, if that makes sense. It's a strange way to explain that, but I think you get the general gist on kind of where I was going with that.
I just want to be mindful that it's 5 minutes at the top of the hour. We want to keep this about an hour, just be mindful of people's time. So we'll have an opportunity. If you have questions after we're done here, you can email me and I can definitely check Nasheen about that and get back to you on that. But just want to make sure you can have time to complete your presentation.
Awesome. And I'll kind of wrap it up quickly, John, here, because I know I'm so sorry that I didn't get chance to cover everything. But again, it's extremely intuitive. It's extremely easy to pick up on. As you have questions, let us know. You know, there are tutorial videos. There's us, there's John, there's all of us combined here to help you out. I'm also more than happy to share some of the ones that you saw today. If you're like, hey, can you send me the one from Pottery Boys because I like the way that they laid it out, just as a best practice for me, definitely more than happy to do that as well. All of these do it differently. I think Built by Bees, as a fun fact, was one of the first vendors on our platform to take their shops live, and they taught us a lot. So they went through and said, hey, this is how I like it. The fixed option was actually suggested by them. So that's why I remembered that one too, but they've been on it for a long time. But kind of going back, so you can set it all up. You know, another thing is you can add product pictures. For those folks that have variations, you can also add variations to your product. As an example, this would come in handy if you have, and I can't think of it right now, and I know I only have 5 minutes to think about this, but as an example, let's say you have colors, you know, or you have sizes, and you want to break them apart, and you have colors and sizes, you know, and you want to say it's going to cost you more for a color blue versus a color red. You can set up an extra fee, you know, so saying your product might be $100, but if you select blue, I'm going to add in $5 more because putting in a color blue will cost more. So you can actually set up blue will be $5 additional, red will be no dollars additional, you know, $0 because it's at the base price. There's a whole tutorial video that walks through this process as well. But if you run through challenges, you know that we're always here to help you as well. Ring sizes, like you can see how I set up size 5, size 7. Size 7 is a larger size, so maybe they might want to charge a little extra and say $5 more on the base price. You can do stuff like that. The most common that I see this with is artwork. So they might say, I have an 11 by 14, I have a 16 by 20, I have an 11 by 14, but different type of canvas, and then structure it according to your pricing structure too. You can also add added shipping costs. So you may say, hey, to ship this, because it has a metal frame around it, might be $10 extra, you know. So you can also add it that way as well. So, or like shipping might be extra because I have to put it in a separate shipping thing and I have to do a separate charge. It could be anything, you know, it's just extra on your part that you want to kind of tack on with the base option as well. Now, I know I brought in a lot and I kind of ran through that, but essentially you add products, you add pictures, you do all of that good stuff. For those folks that are like, this might take a little bit longer, I have to add all of these individually, there is a bulk import option as well. For bulk import, all you're doing is you're downloading the Excel spreadsheet, you're completing all of this information, and then you're just pushing it right back in the system. We've seen someone adding 10,000 products in a bulk import process, you know. Of course, it took a couple of minutes because they had to kind of push it all in there, but take a few minutes to doing 10,000 products. It's not a bad deal, you know. So you can say, I'm going to export from my own website, structure the table, set in that format, and push in and import all of those products one at a time. I know I'm taking up 12:57. I'm going to take a pause moment here. I just want to remind y'all that I'm always here to help. Know that also as a fun fact, we're Atlanta based, you know, so this is like, you know, our entire home, this is our entire structure. We built this because folks had asked for it. And we wanted to support the industry, especially when things were being shut down. So one of the key reasons for us to be able to host a virtual event was because we wanted to make sure people were generating revenue. I know I said a lot. So John, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. As I said, if you have any specific questions after you get started, please let me know. And then there are things you can click on the eventeny page when you're there to ask them directly for questions. I do recommend watching the tutorials. I've watched a number of them. They're very helpful. They're very basic, which is great. I need basic, so I'm happy about that. But again, this is something we're trying new. And so we're working on a best practices to have out early August to exhibitors, that we have plenty of time before the show to kind of get in there, play with it, set your stores up the way you like it. Yeah, we're very excited about this opportunity to make a hybrid Origins for this year. And we're like 83 days away to Origins kicking off. So we're very excited about the show. So thank you for your time today. Also, thank you to Nashina and to her team over at eventeny being partnering with us on this project. And we will talk to you all real soon. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you for your time.